I know Sean's been struggling down there at the bottom in the last place, but with every pass, he's been getting faster and faster, and his races are getting closer and closer.
For years, Daddy Dave was the embodiment of calm in chaos, the quiet king of the Street Outlaws. While others crashed, burned, or faded out, Dave stayed grounded. But now, the street racing legend is finally revealing the racers who made the show unbearable.
As soon as the light comes on, I'm going to the floor.
As soon as the light comes on,
I'm going to the floor.
he's going to the floor.
Men he clashed with behind closed doors, drivers he couldn't stand, and while the races were iconic, the rivalries were all too real. These aren't rumors, these are names, and some will break your heart, because by the time you reach the final name on Dave's list, you might never look at Street Outlaws the same way again. Big Chief. For a long time, people thought Big Chief and Daddy Dave were unstoppable together. They weren't just part of the 405 crew, they were the heart of it. But behind those roaring engines, there was tension brewing that nobody wanted to talk about. The fans saw the high fives and the celebrations, but off camera, things weren't so friendly. Big Chief had always been the loudest voice in the room. He called the shots, set the list, and ran the show. At first, that worked. The crew was tight, and everyone respected the hustle. But the deeper they got into Street Outlaws, the egos started to change the game. Suddenly, it wasn't just about racing for pride, it was about money, contracts, and being the face of the franchise. Then came the turning point, Daddy Dave's crash in Goliath back in 2015. Dave's car was destroyed, his body was broken, and his future in racing was hanging by a thread. While Dave was in the hospital, fighting to recover, Big Chief kept filming and building his own brand. That's when the cracks between them started showing. Fans noticed it first, the way Big Chief and Dave weren't racing side by side like they used to. Behind the scenes, there were whispers that Big Chief was making decisions without Dave, reshaping the 405 crew to suit himself. Even the other racers started to see the divide. Some backed Big Chief, while others quietly sided with Dave. The final fight came during America's List. That's when the drama boiled over. Big Chief's leadership was being questioned, and Daddy Dave wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He didn't like how the rules were changing, how some racers were getting special treatment. Their friendship never recovered after that. Dave stayed silent for years, focusing on rebuilding Goliath, racing his own way, and staying out of the spotlight drama. But when he finally spoke up about the racers he couldn't stand to be around anymore, Big Chief's name came up without hesitation. For Dave, the loyalty was gone. But as bitter as that fallout was, the next person on his list shocked the entire crew. Sean Ellington. Sean Ellington was supposed to be like a brother to Daddy Dave. From the start, they shared the same obsession with being the fastest. For years, fans watched them race side by side, building up the 405 crew and putting Oklahoma City on the map. Their cars were legends. The Murder Nova, Goliath, the Crow. These machines didn't just win races, they built reputations. But fame and money have a way of testing loyalty, and for Dave and Sean, things started to unravel the minute the stakes got higher. That's when Sean started getting closer to Big Chief. On camera, it looked like just another racing partnership, but behind the scenes, it felt like the lines were shifting. The alliances that once held the crew together were cracking, and Dave could feel it. Sean, once known for keeping his head down and focusing on racing, suddenly found himself in the spotlight alongside Big Chief. They were making the big calls, running the list. Dave noticed fewer opportunities and more whispers about politics shaping the street racing world. The brotherhood he thought he had with Sean, it wasn't there anymore. Dave stayed quiet for a long time, letting his racing do the talking. But the frustration kept building. The fans saw it too. They noticed how different the 405 crew looked. The chemistry was gone. The smiles on camera felt forced. And those brutal late-night races, they carried more tension than ever before. For Dave, it wasn't just about racing anymore. It was about respect and knowing who truly had your back. When he finally spoke up and named the racers he couldn't stand being around, Sean Ellington's name was near the top of the list. Their friendship was over, replaced by competition and a deep divide that split the crew in half. But the next racer on Dave's list didn't just cause tension, they brought full-blown chaos. James Goad. From day one, James Goad made it clear he wasn't there to make friends or follow the 405 crew's unwritten rules. Reaper brought a loud attitude, fast cars, and even faster opinions, but nobody clashed with him harder than Daddy Dave. Their beef wasn't just about racing, it was personal, and it blew up in front of everyone. James came out swinging, accusing Daddy Dave and the rest of the 405 of stacking the deck. He claimed the crew protected their top racers, rigged call-outs, and made sure outsiders like him never got a fair shot at the top spots. Daddy Dave was furious. He'd spent years building his reputation, tuning his cars, and earning his stripes on the street. He wasn't about to let James tear that down with rumors and trash talk, but James never backed off. The more Dave tried to distance himself, the harder James pushed. Things got uglier when James started taking shots at the show's producers and the entire structure of Street Outlaws. He claimed behind-the-scenes politics were controlling the list, and racers like Daddy Dave got special treatment to stay at the top. Fans were divided. Some people believed James, thinking the 405 operated like a closed club, keeping outsiders down and protecting their favorites. Others saw James as a loudmouth trying to stir up drama because he couldn't win races the hard way. But James didn't care what anyone thought. He kept building bigger cars, making louder statements, and calling out Daddy Dave every chance he got. Meanwhile, Dave tried to focus on racing, but the noise from Reaper never stopped. Behind closed doors, the tension reached a breaking point. Call-out races got heated. The trust was completely gone. For a long time, Dave stayed quiet, letting his racing do the talking. But eventually, enough was enough. When he finally opened up about the racers he couldn't stand to be around, James Goad's name was locked in. And while their feud rocked the Street Outlaws community, the next racer on Dave's hate list didn't just cause drama, he came in and flipped the entire crew on its head. Kai Kelly. Kai Kelly didn't just show up to Street Outlaws looking to race, he showed up to take down the biggest names, and that included Daddy Dave. From the moment Kai rolled onto the scene, the energy shifted. The New Orleans racer had built a reputation as the fastest in his city, but when he got the invite to race against the 405, everyone knew this wasn't going to be just another friendly competition. It was a battle for pride, power, and a spot at the top. The first time they faced off was back in 2014. Kai got the call to race against Daddy Dave, a veteran of the Oklahoma streets and one of the fiercest competitors around. Fans expected a close battle, but what they got was a statement. Kai showed up ready to dominate, and that's exactly what he did. He took down Daddy Dave and made it look easy. The loss hit Dave hard, but it wasn't just the defeat that fueled the fire. It was the way Kai celebrated, cocky and confident. For Daddy Dave, that moment changed everything. Kai wasn't just fast, he was calculated, and he thrived on getting under people's nerves. After that first win, Kai kept stacking victories. From Texas to New Orleans to Oklahoma, Kai was collecting cash prizes and leaving the 405 crew with bruised egos. By the time America's List came around, the rivalry had reached a boiling point. The show gathered the fastest street racers from across the country, and Kai showed up ready to prove, once again, that the 405 could be beaten, and Daddy Dave was one of his favorite opponents to take down. They went head-to-head more than once, and each time, the tension between them was impossible to miss. For Dave, the frustration wasn't just about losing races. It was about respect, the way Kai carried himself, the trash talk, and the constant jabs at the 405 crew. Dave believed street racing was built on loyalty and pride, and Kai represented everything that was changing. The rivalry wasn't just about race results, it was about two different mindsets colliding. But if fans thought that feud was intense, the next name on Dave's hate list proved that even inside the 405 crew, the drama could get personal. Precious Cooper. When Precious Cooper showed up on Street Outlaws, she changed the game. Known as the Queen of the Streets, she wasn't just there to race, she was there to prove that she could dominate in a track ruled by men. Fans loved it. She came from the Memphis racing scene with a fearless attitude and real skills behind the wheel. But not everyone in the 405 crew was impressed, and one of the racers who wasn't buying into the hype was Daddy Dave. At first, The tension between Dave and Precious stayed low-key, but everything exploded during the filming of America's List. Precious and several other racers from Memphis joined America's List without having to qualify like the rest. That decision hit a nerve with Dave, who had spent years grinding through the toughest streets and fighting his way up. In his eyes, the rules were broken to make room for Precious and her crew, and that didn't sit well with him. Dave wasn't just frustrated with the producers, he was angry at Precious. Their arguments off camera grew more intense. Precious wasn't one to back down, and neither was Dave. The Memphis and 405 crews had never seen eye to eye, but this made the divide even worse. To make matters worse, Dave's girlfriend Jackie got caught in the middle. She and Precious clashed during filming, and it wasn't long before the arguments turned personal. What started as a debate about race rules spiraled into a full-blown feud, with both sides refusing to back off. Fans saw the tension, but most didn't realize just how bad things got. Eventually, Daddy Dave and Jackie had enough. They walked away from America's List, leaving behind the politics that had ruined the show's integrity. But as bad as things were with Precious, the next name on Daddy Dave's list made it even more personal. This wasn't a rival from another city. This was a betrayal from his own group member, Chuck Seitzinger. For years, Daddy Dave and Chuck Seitzinger were seen as two of the strongest racers holding down the 405 crew. They came up through the same gritty street racing scene, fought for respect on the list, and stood shoulder to shoulder when the cameras first rolled for Street Outlaws. But with increased pressure, the egos and the constant competition eventually cracked everything apart. Chuck Seitzinger has always been known for his fiery attitude. He talks loud, races hard, and never backs down from a fight. That energy helped make him one of the most recognizable faces on the show, but it also made him a magnet for chaos. What started as friendly trash talk and competitive tension slowly turned into real frustration between Chuck and Daddy Dave. The problems didn't explode overnight. It was small moments that built up over the years. As Street Outlaws grew bigger, those little moments stacked up fast. Dave started seeing Chuck not just as a teammate, but as someone who was playing a different game entirely. Things got worse during meetings off camera when decisions about the 405 list were being made. Rumors started spreading that Chuck was making moves to protect his position and creating alliances that didn't always include Dave. Some racers claimed by that time the America's List series kicked off. The divide between Dave and Chuck was impossible to ignore. Meetings turned heated. Even simple decisions about races spiraled into full-blown clashes. Chuck's aggressive style, both behind the wheel and behind the scenes, only added fuel to the fire. For Dave, it wasn't just about racing anymore. It was about keeping the integrity of the 405 crew intact. Watching Chuck twist that dynamic in Dave's eyes was the ultimate betrayal. Eventually, Daddy Dave had enough. When he finally spoke up about the racers he couldn't stand to be around, Chuck Seitzinger's name came without hesitation. Years of drama, bruised egos, and broken trust landed Chuck squarely on Dave's list of enemies. Street Outlaws was built on speed, pride, and loyalty, but behind the roaring engines, it's always been about power. For Daddy Dave, naming the racers he couldn't stand wasn't about fueling more drama. It was about clearing the air after years of tension, betrayal, and broken friendships. The rivalries behind closed doors have reshaped Street Outlaws forever. But one thing is clear, the drama on the streets is far from over. As the races get faster and the stakes get higher, fans know there's always more to come. So, will the old-school loyalty ever return? Or has the chase for fame changed everything for good? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for further updates, and click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.